I wish we had a whole hour, but we don't. So I'm just going to jump right in. Valerie, was there anything about de-escalation that came up in the task force meetings?
De-escalation was a concept throughout the entire report. It's basically common sense, cooler heads prevail, the guardian mentality instead of the warrior mentality, to make sure that police work with people, not just as subjects, but as people. The implicit bias training to make sure when we talk about the racial divide, with implicit bias is how you interact with people, particularly people that aren't like you. They may have a different color, different gender, different orientation, etc. So there are the implicit bias as far as training not only needs to be in cadet training, it needs to be continual training to make sure people reminded, hey, would you have treated somebody else? Would you have treated a white guy like that, but you treated a black woman like this? That needs to be annual. It needs to be continued, and it also needs these type of traits need to be reviewed and looked for to and nip them in the bud because that is community relations.
And Richard, I'm going to come to you next because I know that while you all were meeting, there were also things happening around the city. Did we see some things actually begin to change while the task force was meeting?
Well, when we talked about the use of force, um, and the mayor and city council actually changed some of the things that the police could do. I made reference to the young man that was arrested at Pitt, where they had whisked him away from the crowd and put him in the van. They talked about demilitarizing the police, where they're not wearing camouflage clothing like they was in the military and stuff. So there are some things that the chief has already made changes on when we talk about the use of force. The rubber bullets, flashbang grenades, during the protests. So I mean, it's a work in progress. I mean, and I think the city and the police are taking it serious that they need to change.
And Dr. Bullock, I'm going to let you have the last word here. All of this is great, but if there isn't a sense of transparency, do you get the buy-in from the community?
That's a very important point because I think it's important for the police to strengthen trust in the community, to also help address the perceived perception of inappropriate force, as well as how police interact with different populations, persons with disability, LGBTQIA, Black and Brown communities. By gathering the data to look at each of those instances and being able to show and define and describe that data via a dashboard that's accessible by the police personnel and the public would begin to strengthen the trust and strengthen community policing.
I think it's important that the community actually read the task force's report as well. I mean, I think it's one thing for folks to watch the show. I think they saw your press conference earlier, but I think they need to go online and read the report because there's so much detail in there. I think they would be remiss if they didn't.
Yeah, I think the value of reading the report is it would give them a quick overview of the task force assessment and summary of some of the key areas that have been identified and a better understanding of proposed actions that are strongly recommended to be implemented to really change community policing and community relations throughout the city of Pittsburgh.
Well, you guys did an amazing job. Hats off to you. And I'm sorry, Valerie, were you going to say? Go ahead.
On the mayor's office website, if you go to the city of Pittsburgh and go to the mayor's office, the report is available there with an executive summary. And there are translations in Spanish, French, Arabic, Swahili, Chinese, and Nepali. And also the portal is there that gives all of the public documents that we were privy to make recommendations. The general public is also going to be privy to that. So visit the website.
There you go. Thanks so much for that because it is impressive. And I think everyone should read it. You guys did amazing work and we thank you for that. And we'll see what happens. We'll have to follow up on this. We'll give it, I know we'll give it more than a few weeks, but we do need to follow up on it. Thanks so much for joining us today. Lots of good information and lots to digest. Yes,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much. We appreciate all of your hard work. We'll take a break. We'll come right back, and I'm going to remind you, nag you about this election and your need to get out and vote. Yeah, you know I wasn't going to let you get away without that. We'll be
Right.
right back.